What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfella. We back with the boxing clinic, hitting y'all last with another video. Still in the process of getting a new phone, trying to find me the perfect service. Cause Sprint was shitty as fuck. Cut them off. So I'm not being able to respond like I want to. But like I said, what's your opinion? We don't have to agree. It's not a requirement to agree. I don't care if we agree or not. Just don't be disrespectful, cause I won't disrespect you at all. But I will respond eventually. Hopefully, I get to. If I'm not responding to you, hopefully keep writing. I get to you, man. I appreciate everybody, but it's the return of the machine. The return of Lucas Matthysse. Return of Lucas Matthysse this weekend on the Chavez Jr. Canelo undercard. We gonna get into that at the pretty much at the transition that to the next video I'm gonna post. But like I said, Lucas Matthysse was matched horrible after the Danny Garcia fight. I think he was with Al Heyman to a certain point, because it was a point where Oscar came back and he took some of the fighters back, and one of the fighters he got to keep was Lucas Matthysse, and Leo Santa Cruz he did, but they bought him out. He went back with Al Heyman. So this is a point where he came back. I think it was right after the Ortiz fight, the Roberto Ortiz fight. But he was matching it horrible. After the Danny Garcia fight, him and Danny Garcia both were damaged goods after that fight. I think they needed to take a long time off. They wasn't the same. But Danny struggling with guys like Herrera, who lost to Kareem Mayfield, who was really, to me, was getting beat by Hank Lundy. Not world beaters. And then, goes on to do other things. But Matthysse, he got in the ring immediately after that. Not too long after that. I think he took a nice break off. But still wasn't enough. He went life and death with John Molina. I understand. They probably thought John Molina and him would be a nice match, nice fight. Easy for him to win. But it was a bloodbath, a life and death war. Molina chin somehow super sized, like by 20. He took a lot of punishment. He knocked Matthysse down, I think, one time or two. And he was giving him all that he wanted and more. And, he goes on to fight Roberto Ortiz, a guy, even though he knocked him out like 2 rounds, I think it was a guy who had a lot of fucking knockouts and a good power puncher. They just kept matching him up with puncher. Then he fought Ruslan Provodnikov in another meaningless fight, really. It was a Fight of the Year candidate, but he didn't get no world title out of it. He probably didn't even get compensated right for good enough for what type of blood and war that was, with him taking big punches from Provodnikov, and neither one of them guys were the same after that fight. And then he goes on to fight Victor Postal and gets another title shot, falls short, get knocked out. I think Danny Garcia broke his confidence, and I think Victor Postal completely shattered it and completely obliterated. And a guy like Lucas Matthysse, he was just so built on his image of being a badass and his power. And once he seen people could take his power and people were able to break his confidence, it was I think it was a wrap for him. Can he rebuild that confidence after going through the eye thing? He said he never really was contemplating retirement. Can he rebuild himself? And he's facing Emmanuel Taylor this weekend. A guy who did face Adrian Broner, who fought Chris Algieri, lost to both guys, who's moving up to welterweight. It'll be interesting. He 2 back-to-back losses to Broner, and another guy, Oziah, I forgot. He's undefeated, 21-0 as well. Sorry if I butchered your name. Then he came off after those 2 losses, he got 2 straight wins versus who gives a fuck, Emmanuel Taylor. So this is really built for Matthysse to come back and look good and really get fans back in his wheelhouse. And he end up suffering the same fate that eventually Golovkin and Anthony Joshua may face if they don't improve their skill level, is that you can't just rely on power and having a decent chin, because somebody's going to crack that code that's going to have the skill level. Maybe not so much in Anthony Joshua's case, because there's not that many good heavyweights other than Ortiz, Wilder, and Fury. I mean, he has nothing to worry about. He gets past those 3, it's clear sailing. You have some young guys coming up, but those guys suffer from relying on their power too much down the stretch in a fight. and it's going to come a point in time where somebody's going to dispatch that power, and you have to show more than just being a good puncher. And Matthysse suffered that fate, and plenty other guys that just relied on power suffered that fate. Yes, fans get enamored with the power, but power is the one thing that you can take away. Speed can be taken away by timing and too, but power can be taken away by some guys got to set up, and so you don't have to let guys set up. Some guys have to, you have to be in a certain position and all that types of stuff. So there's ways to take away the power. You have to have something else. You have to have more than power than the jab. You have to have something else. And I think Matthysse learned that the hard way. With Emmanuel Taylor, I don't expect him to have too many issues with Emmanuel Taylor. If he has anything left in the tank, I expect him to get the knockout as well. He's with Joel Diaz, the former trainer of Tim Bradley, who I don't think gets a lot of credit for his body of work because I don't know, because Tim Bradley left him, but he took a average amateur fighter, really could be a below amateur average fighter, and gave him a pro style and took him to an elite level. And that's something to be said about Joel Diaz and Lucas Matthysse. But it's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We gone.